And so I ran that entire game with Katana and Naginata, and that was it. Like I cleared that entire game with those two weapons, and I never even looked at the other ones. I think I tried the Teppo like once, and I'm like, no, I got big stick with blade and sword. Like I don't need anything else.
Which was your favorite though?
Oh, the Naginata. Like
Same.
that was easily because you eventually get a skill where it's if you hit them with like the tip of the blade, it does more damage. And so I would just constantly do the crescent slash where you swirl around and sort of hit a big group of enemies. And then if you had something like poison or bleed or any sort of additional affliction, you would just clear out waves of enemies. You were almost playing Dynasty Warriors or some sort of Muso game at that point because there's one point where there was 10, 15 enemies in front of me and I'm just clearing them out left and right with this blade, and I never looked back.
I think a good way to think of the abilities, like I in this game, is that most of them seem to be there for fun. Like they
Yeah.
don't make the combat. The combat isn't balanced. If you just parried and you just blocked, you might struggle. But like in boss fights, if you use your full suite of abilities that you can activate with like the adrenaline bar and you've engraved your armor, you probably won't struggle unless you're bumping up the difficulty. Like against most bosses with with Yasuke, he has his Naginata has like an impale attack where he can jab someone and then charge them forwards. And if you slam them into a wall, they fall on the floor, and then you can do like a really high damage down like on the ground attack. I think they're just called ground attacks. But stuff like that kind of makes like the toughest fights relatively trivial as Yasuke, but I still enjoyed it because the animations on them and like the effects is really fun to do. Like clearing whole camps with the crescent slash is great.
There's this black and white effect that happens when you do some of the attacks where the blood will still be red, but the actual everything else will go black and white. So there's this really nice animation that happens. There's a katana move that Yasuke has that I use throughout the entire game where you sort of just stab them in the neck and then like chop them on the back of the head. And eventually you get a skill that gives you health back every time you do that. So it was just this easy way to just keep healing, was just because Yasuke will have 5, 6 adrenaline points, which is what you spend to use the abilities that you get through the skill tree. And you could just that cooldown is not that long. So I'd hit, do the ability, hit, do the ability. And I was never wanting for health as Yasuke.